So the next purchase I have made is a Jaguar XF, bought this time from BCA Car Auctions. A bit of a purchase on a whim, but I think it's actually all right. Let me show you what I've bought. So here is what I have bought. This is a 2017 Jaguar XF 2-litre diesel Prestige, which is the kind of base spec, if you like, but it's actually still quite well spec'd, even though it's a basic model. This is a facelift car, which came out in 2015-16, I think. And we know that because it's got these kind of J LEDs, which look quite nice around here. Slightly kind of squarer nose than some of the earlier cars. And it's got the famous 2-litre diesel Ingenium engine. This is a slightly higher brake horsepower. It's 180 brake horsepower. So with this car, supposedly you can get knocking on the door of 70 miles to the gallon and you still get a decent turn of economy. Decent turn of speed. So you'll get probably 0 to 60, 8 to 9 seconds. So it should be a really good engine. Now, the problem is this car is renowned for one major fault, which this car has, which is the timing chain. And the timing chain on these is really expensive to fix, which is why this car was super cheap. So I bid on this car on a BCA auction. I had it on a watch list. It was coming up as engine management light, noisy engine, low fluid. So it had hardly any bidders. The cap clean, which was the guide price on this car, was about £6,500, £6,800, and I've paid £4,500 for this car, which I think is an absolute bargain, even if it needs some work, for a 2017 plate car, which still looks quite modern and has a fair bit of decent tech on it. So it has got some faults, a very major one, and that is the timing chain. The mileage on this is also pretty high. So mileage wise, we're on 133,000 miles, which is a lot. But usually with high mileage cars, they have just sat on the motorway and they've also been quite well maintained. Now, the other disadvantage is I don't have a service history. Now, Jaguar histories, I've learned, are actually online, and there's nothing online for Jaguar. So this car has obviously been serviced, and I'm fairly sure it has been serviced by the condition of it, and I'll do a bit more of a walk around in a moment, but it's not recorded anywhere, so that's a bit of a pain. But we're going to have to go for a full timing chain kit anyway, and we'll do a major service on it, so it should be good. But let me just talk you through and I'll show you what it actually looks like. So it's a nice metallic black. I think it's Santorini black, similar to the Land Rover colours, but actually really very straight. So unlike some of the other cars that I've had on the channel, all of which need some body work, I don't think I've got any body work to do on this. It could certainly do with a machine polish, but even in the sun's just gone in, the paint's not bad. You'd probably get away with just giving it a clean. So all down the sides here, all the sides of the bumpers, the doors, there's no dings, and it's actually very, very tidy. So that's a big plus for me. So even if we're going to be in for quite a bit of mechanical work, then I can live with the fact that I'm doing that, because I'm not going to be paying out money for bodywork, which is a lot of money. Inside we have this lovely cream soft leather interior, which again is really nice. So the carpets are good, dashboard's all good. We have these lovely vents that open, this mock leather on here. We have the later infotainment system, which I'll show in just a moment. Again, all the door cards, quite nice. And then the back, to be honest, looks like it's never really even been sat in. So I think we're good there. And in the boot, we have the mats, and obviously the previous owner had the Jag mats, which are this lovely pale colour, and over the top looks like they've had some black mats. That just tells you a little bit about the ownership. If someone took the trouble not only to have mats in, but actually put mats over the mats just to protect the colour of them. The boot's a bit dirty, but again, nothing serious in there or in any way bothering me. Or reversing camera, I've just noticed. And then in here we have, again, pretty good. So let me just go in and I'll talk you through what we've got. So inside, 133,000 miles, which is a lot. But steering wheel, everything, I mean, it's grubby, but a bit of a clean. Usually one of my many hates on a car is a shiny black leather steering wheel, but this is this nice kind of beigey, browny sort of colour. I don't actually know what colour you call it, but anyway, just needs a clean. I think that will come up really nicely. And the same with all this, and even the driver's seat bolsters, if I just show you those. Yes, they've got some wear on them, but really nothing serious at all. You touch that in a little bit with a Scuff Master kit, and that would be as good as new. So in here we've got the, like I said, the later infotainment system. Got these lovely vents that open when you press start. Just turn this air conditioning down so it's not making a noise. And then we have, I mean, it's by today's standards, of course, this is still out of date. I don't think we have any CarPlay or anything like that on here. It's probably too much to ask, but I've certainly got a Bluetooth phone. I've got navigation. I've got a camera, which is great. So overall, I think this is a pretty good car. So what's my plan with this car? What's the main fault with this car? So this car, I'm not going to start it because I don't want to, because I think the engine is probably right on the cusp of exploding. Well, that's probably a little bit re-exaggerating a little bit there, but the timing chain on this is making a hell of a noise. Now, I'm no mechanic, as you well know, but I can tell that when you start this car, it's got a really nasty clattering noise, and that's the timing chain. So the good news is, when it was advertised on the BCA auction, it had all sorts of warnings, low oil, it had warnings for engine management lights, and I don't have any of that. There's no engine management lights on the car, which is brilliant. The oil is all good, the water's all good, so the engine is fine. So a new engine on one of these is massively expensive. Now, I did look at that. A new engine, something in the region of £5,500 plus fitting. So it would make the car a write-off, because you wouldn't replace an engine in a car with 133,000 miles as a retail value at probably 8,500, which is what this does. So I think we'll get away with that. However, the timing chain is a big job. So the sort of figures I'm looking at to repair that, it's going to be about 10 to 11 hours of labour, and it's going to cost me probably about £2,000 with the kit and with the labour. So a lot of money. However, given how cheap the car was, it does make sense to do it. And actually, with these 2-litre Ingenium engines, which are fitted to Land Rovers, Range Rovers, Jaguars, and probably some other cars too, once that's done, they're actually pretty good and they're pretty hardy. The mistake that Land Rover made with these engines is they fitted plastic components. And that's, of course, what happens is they then wear out, they snap, they degrade, and they need fresh oil going through the cars all the time to keep them looking good. But the fact this car's done 133,000 miles actually doesn't make much difference, because looking at all the forums and the Facebook groups I've joined, and they've been really helpful for the Jaguar XF Facebook group. You've got cars have done 50,000 miles that people would have paid probably 15, 16, even 20,000 pounds for, and they've got the same issue that I've now got with this. So I think I'm going to certainly get this fixed. What I then do with it, I'm actually tempted to keep this, because it's actually really quite pleasant. It's very comfortable. It's 8-speed automatic, and I think with keep getting this sorted out, I do a lot of mileage. The job I have means I have to do a lot of travel, and I'm thinking actually I could keep this even just perhaps for a year, 6 months, and just run it, see how I get on. I think it will be quite a comfortable motorway mileage car. So that's actually my plan, is to get it fixed and then just run it for a while. I might change my mind, I might get it fixed and drive it for a bit and not particularly like it. Jaguar isn't really the sort of car that I would ordinarily go out and buy, but I think that's the plan. So anyway, next job is, it's in here with my local trusted garage, and these guys are fantastic. I'm going to get them to take a good look over it. I'm going to get them to replace the timing chain, all the tensioners, basically a full kit. We'll do a major service on it. We'll do all the fluids, all the filters, because we don't know much about the history. I'm then also going to try and track down some of the service history, because this car must have been serviced. And I know that because just looking in the door shuts, for example, they've all been greased quite recently. So I'm going to try and track some of that down just for completeness. But even if I can't, we're just going to do timing chain, we'll do a major service, but the condition overall says this is a car that's been looked after. So I think that's the plan. Join me on the next part of the video, and what we will be doing, of course, is giving you an update when the timing chain is done. I don't want to drive it. It is drivable, but I think it would be a real mistake driving it. So I'm just going to get this car fixed, get the timing chain done, then we'll do a drive, see how we feel, and we'll go from there. But in the meantime, please join me. There will be a part 2 on this. I will try and keep this video down to, there'll be this part here, which is the introduction to the car. I may do, I think, certainly a second part of the video, then maybe a third, and then we'll see how the car turns out. But I think there'll be a nice video on it as well, just cleaning it all up. This leather is really not bad, but I think with a good few hours of cleaning, we can get this really looking smart. So join me again soon. In the meantime, please like, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you again in the next video.